Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Jaren. I'm so sorry that UnFiltered has been off for 2 weeks. We had some technical difficulties with the film that we were recording, and you'll see I'm wearing glasses and different haircut, and Melissa looks a little bit different.
I promised that we had our schedule all mapped out and everything, but again, unfortunately, due to technology failing us, we had to start over again with some of our refilming. So we're coming to you in the midst of our planning for season 3, and we're re-recording this video. In light of that, we will also be releasing our videos out in a different schedule. You will be getting 2, you're welcome, videos this week from UnFiltered, and next week will be the season finale for season 2.
Like a binging thing during the break so everyone can get caught up with UnFiltered. But we're so excited for you to see what we have next. Sit back and enjoy Elijah.
I'm honestly excited about today. I like characters that are a little bit rough around the edges, and like Jaren already said, today we are doing one of the prophets, Elijah.
This is the section of the Bible that I like to call the superhero brothers, Elisha and Elijah. But today we're going to be talking about Elijah and his superpowers. Before that, we have to talk about an evil string of kings.
So, where we're at in the story, poor Israel, well, not really poor because they asked for it, wanted a king. And with every king that they got, they just got worse and worse. And with the kings that they had, they stepped away farther and farther from God. And we finally get to the worst king of them all, Ahab.
Yeah, good old King Ahab. Well, not really good and not really old. Anyway, this is where Elijah's big moment comes in. But Melissa wants to say it, so I'm going to let her have it.
Thank you, Jaren. So this guy, Elijah, is gutsy. What we find out in 1 Kings chapter 18 is that Ahab's wife, Jezebel, had been cutting off all of the prophets' heads. Well, at least the prophets that weren't working for her and her god, Baal. Now, Elijah was one of those prophets that she was kind of targeting, and he bravely busts into the palace and tells Ahab that everything that he is doing is wrong and that there would be no rain or water until Elijah said that there would be. Man, that's rough.
Obviously, our hero can't stay in a place where he just told off a king, so the Lord tells Elijah to run to the east, to the Kerith Brook attached to the Jordan River. Now, did you need to know that information? Absolutely not. But you could win Jeopardy one day. And if you do, you can make your checks out to Jaren and Melissa at UnFiltered.
So Elijah hid out, and thankfully God took care of him. God sent ravens to bring him food, and so he had food from the ravens and water from the brook. And he chilled out there while he was hiding out from Mr. and Mrs. Evil King and Queen.
God told Elijah to go to see a woman. This woman was in a foreign land, so Elijah went. When he was there, the mother and the son were both willing to help, but they didn't have enough food. This is where we see the first of many miracles in the story.
Jaren mentioned that there were many miracles. I guess more than one is many. So there were 2 miracles that occurred. The first one was that Elijah, of course with the power of God, was able to provide an endless supply of food and water for the widow and her son. The second one was that while the son was working one day, he had fallen ill and he had actually died. And from that, Elijah was able to, of course again with God's power, bring him back to life.
We're going to travel 3 years here, and in those 3 years a lot happened. Queen Jezebel tried to have all the prophets killed, but Elijah was getting thirsty. So God sent him to King Ahab. And when I say this man came in hot, he came in hot. King Ahab told Elijah that you did this to us. Elijah's like, what do you mean? We love toxic masculinity with a hint of evil spirits. Hey, what do you do about toxic masculinity? You have a contest. No, I'm so serious. They have a contest.
Legit, Jaren is right. If you look it up in 1 Kings 18:17, Elijah tells King Ahab to meet him on Mount Carmel, not alone with all the prophets of Baal and Asherah, because they were about to have the biggest showdown of all in front of all of Israel and clear things up once and for all.
Enter reverse fireworks. No, but seriously, they set up 2 different altars to their gods. Well, Baal the loser god, whatever. And you obviously know that our God is a winner. So Elijah, being so gracious, allows them to go first. Then the craziness begins.
Then this went on for hours hours, y'all. It was so bad that Elijah started to tease the prophets of Baal and Asherah. He started to yell at them and be like, hey, what's wrong with your God? He's a god. Maybe he went on vacation. Maybe he's asleep. Maybe he's relieving himself. Maybe he's out buying groceries or doing whatever. And he really starts to mock them. And this goes on for most of the day.
Now it's Israel's turn. And Elijah, being Elijah, he wants to make sure that no one can doubt what God did. So Elijah has the men throw 4 buckets of water on the altar 3 times. He did this when there was no water. Elijah got many jokes. Anyway, he called for God to come down, and immediately fire came down.
And immediately it consumed everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. It consumed the wood, it consumed the sacrifice, it consumed the rocks, y'all. And everyone fell to their faces as soon as they saw it. And
Elijah says kill all the prophets who were false prophets because he doesn't like liars.
Goodness, this has been a roller coaster of emotions between the good, bad, and the ugly. Elijah was definitely a rebel. He was a rebel for his people, and he was a rebel who stood up to the most powerful person in his country. Elijah fought not only for his people, but for what he believed in and for God. But there is definitely a deeper connection here.
When we are a rebel for God, God generally provides, because generally he's working for our good. And by the way, the water was restored, and the people knew that our God was the right God. Elijah was a rebel for God because he worked for his people, and because of that, he had a deeper connection with God.
And with that, that brings us to the end of this episode of Elijah. Do all the things on social media. Thank you so much for being patient with us this week with all of our technical difficulties, and we'll catch you next time for our next episode of UnFiltered.